Life is weird.
Super weird.
So, what did we decide to do with our fascination for the strange and unusual?
We made a podcast about it. This is Weirdify. Now,
let's get weird. Okay. Are we back?
Guess who's back? Back again. We
Again.
probably can't do that too much because we'll get copyrighted by Sir Eminem himself.
We don't.
It's been a while, so we cracked open some White Claws because
Of
technical difficulty.
Every time we do anything.
Yeah, and San Diego apparently decided to, I think California in general, decided to get a heat wave this weekend.
We're just sitting in our sweat.
Yeah, all of my creases are sweating.
Yeah, same.
We're back to talk about one of my personal favorite topics, all things spooky.
One of my non-personal favorite topics.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some paranormal stories and
Bring you a little spook.
little spooky spook.
Little spooky spook.
It's officially
for you.
September, which
It
to me
is.
means it's officially fall.
Very appropriate.
Which means
I feel
officially
like-
Halloween, even
Yeah.
though it's going to be 105 degrees this weekend.
That's fine. I feel like this is the most appropriate time to do. Oh, but you know what? Who knows when this episode is going to go out because we're pre-recording this.
Oh, you're right.
So, but that's okay. It's still
Merry Christmas, Mahana
appropriate.
Kwanzaa. Because it's probably when this will
Happy
go up.
everything.
Happy everything. Happy, hopefully, end of COVID-19.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's ever going to end, but here is hoping.
I'll just say that this whole pandemic has been scarier than any paranormal story that we'll ever.
I don't know. I haven't told you
That's
why.
true. Okay. All right. Well, in all fairness, Amanda went first last week. Okay. So have you heard of the Bell Witch?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So the Bell Witch is also known as the Bell Witch Haunting, a legend from southern United States folklore. It focuses on John Bell and his family. In the early 1800s, John Bell had moved his family from North Carolina to Robertson County, Tennessee, where they settled in the Red River lands, which now is known as Adams, Tennessee. So he had purchased a farmhouse and land for his family, and over the next few years, it became 328 acres of farmland that he had bought from his neighbor, Kate Batts. That's important. And then just another fact, Bell was made an elder or a deacon of the local Baptist church. In 1817, which was approximately 10 years after John Bell and his family had moved in, they began to experience some strange things. So, like I said, it was 328 acres of land that John Bell had grown his purchase to, and it was just this large area of space. And he was out planting in the fields one day, and in the middle of the fields, he came across a strange-looking animal that was said to have the head of a rabbit and the body of a dog. And
That makes me think of the Pete's Dragon song.
what?
The head of a crocodile.
Oh, that's really cute. Okay, that makes it way less scary because I think of skinwalkers, and you don't know what skinwalkers are. I'll have to explain them to you. We'll probably talk about another
Just
episode.
tell me right now.
Oh, okay. So skinwalkers are basically this creature, and they have like the body sort of a human, like a really skinny, decrepit human, and the head of a dog. And so people have like,
That's terrible.
I know, and people have said that like they get like a really dark, eerie feeling. And as I'm talking about them, you're not supposed to mention them a lot. So after this, we'll stop. But people will
Let's talk about them all night.
No.
Okay.
So people will talk about how like they saw their dogs and all of a sudden their dog like bared up on its hind legs and had like a deformed face and like was chasing after their other dogs, or I don't know, just weird things, and they usually often are associated with like a feeling of dread. Anyway, we'll cover that later.
Cool.
But
sounds fun.
it's very scary, but if you want some fun information, Google skinwalkers.
okay.
But don't Google skinwalkers. It's scary. Anyway, okay. So head of a rabbit and the body of a dog. And so obviously he was protective of his farmland. And so he just shot at the creature and it took off. And he was like, fine, whatever, like, bye. And didn't really think anything else of it until that night. So the family was eating dinner and he heard what sounded like beating on the outside of the house. And they lived in a log cabin, so it was pretty much just like bang, 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 just echoed throughout the whole little cabin. And that continued to go for a few nights. And it happened to be on nights whenever they would see this weird creature with the body of a dog and the head of a rabbit. Okay. And so John Bell had, I think, 6 kids, and him and his 3 older sons would usually try to run out and catch the creature, but they couldn't, and they would always come back empty-handed. It was always just gone whenever they went to look for it, but the beating persisted.
Okay.
So, I lost my place. Oh, and so that was just the start of everything. It got worse after that, as it usually does. In the weeks following the beating noises, the Bell children began to complain that they couldn't sleep because they kept hearing what they described as rats gnawing on their bedposts.
Oh, no, no.
And the gnawing then evolved to straight up just their comforters and bed sheets being pulled off of them.
Oh, no.
And their pillows being pulled out from under their heads and thrown across the room. So, just a casual, normal night.
I don't like this very much.
Oh, it only gets worse. So, yeah, they would have their bed sheets pulled off of them and their pillows ripped from out behind their heads.
Excuse me, I'm cold. Can you give that back?
I know.
That's
and log
so
cabins
rude.
don't add a lot of heat.
No, that's a rude ghost, first of all. They're probably freezing. They probably have a wood fire stove.
Don't talk bad.
Just saying, have some manners. That's all.
I get you.
All right, continue.
The family, so after the bed sheets and the pillows, the family began hearing whispers that they couldn't necessarily make out, but they could tell that it was a woman, and it sounded normally like she was singing hymns.
Okay.
And so they would just hear little whispers that were inaudible and just constant singing.
Okay.
And I don't know why I'm laughing. This is terrible. Just makes me uncomfortable, so I'm laughing.
Makes my stomach hurt.
The encounters began to get more physical, and they seemed to happen mainly to Bell's daughter, Betsy, known as Elizabeth, but they called her Betsy. She would often have her hair pulled and be violently slapped across the face and her body, which often resulted in her having a lot of large welts and red handprints.
Oh my God.
And so her family at one point thought, oh no, you must be making this up. There's no way this can happen. And sure enough, I'm pretty sure at that moment when they were really questioning it, she would get, just got straight up bitch slapped across the face. And her family saw the handprint just forming on her face. And they're like, all right, this is real. Because John Bell was like, I don't want this word to get out. I don't want people thinking that we're crazy or that we're haunted. And so, but it had escalated to a point where Betsy was going through all of this stuff. And he was like, okay, we need help. So he had enlisted the help of his neighbor, James Johnston, and James and his wife had offered to stay at the home one night. But sure enough, that night they were experiencing the exact same stuff. James had his sheets pulled off of him, the comforters, his pillow taken and thrown, and he also was consistently slapped throughout the course of the night. And so the only thing that stopped it was he had it, and he was like, in the name of the Lord, who are you and what do you want? And after that, there was no response. And pretty much for the remainder of the night, it was pretty quiet.
That sent a little shiver down my spine.
Over time, the voice grew louder and at this point was unmistakable. The entity is said to have identified herself as Kate Batts, who was the neighbor of John Bell, with whom he had apparently bought the 300 plus acres. And she apparently thought that the deal that they had struck was unfair. And so she just, until her deathbed, just had it out for John Bell and was just so up in arms about everything and was like, it's not fair. She just thought it was a really shitty deal.
Okay.
And so even to her deathbed, she just continuously cursed John and his family. So the entity did confirm herself as Kate Batts.
Wow.
And
how? Do you know?
Well, from what I understand, the voice was loud enough and it was it was so audible and it was very clear she was having, conversations and everything she was saying was very crisp and it was pretty much hard to mistake. And I think she flat out was just I'm Kate Batts, John Bell, you're an asshole. So,
yo, fuck you, man. I ain't going anywhere.
Basically,
get used to getting bitch.
Yeah, that's what I gathered.
Okay,
so.
got it.
Okay, page 2. Here you go. So she would often quote scripture. She would have intelligent conversation, and this part, I don't know, really freaked me out. At one time, quoted word for word 2 different sermons that were performed on the same day at 2 different churches at the same time, 13 miles apart.
No. She's just standing there quoting them?
Yeah.
Or like floating there?
I don't know if she was floated. She's an invisible entity. They never saw her. They never saw...
no.
They never... Yeah.
How do they know it was word for word?
I don't know. That's a good question. From what... I mean, John Bell was a deacon at one of the bigger Baptist church, so I'm sure, like, he was like, talk to his other pastor friends or deacon friends, and we're like, we gave a sermon on this. We gave a sermon on that same thing. Oh my gosh, what was your sermon? And then... just compared notes. I'm guessing because you can't just like film it, and obviously in the 1800s. Okay. So the happenings at the Bell house and across his land grew so popular that they had even made it to Nashville, Tennessee, where General Andrew Jackson had taken interest in the phenomenon.
Wow.
Since Bell's 3 eldest sons served under Jackson, the general decided to take them and some men, some horses, and a wagon, and just go check out, what was going on over there. Mm-hmm. So it's said that apparently when Jackson and his men approached the land, the wagon stopped. The horses couldn't pull it any longer. Nothing was wrong with the horses, thank God, but it was like the wagon had rolled into cement, and it just would not budge at all. And so, of course, Jackson apparently yelled out, "By the Eternal, it must be the Bell Witch." And that's 1800s, man.
Oh, my God.
Hey, don't know.
Oh, Andrew. Oh, you always had such a way with words.
By the Eternal. Yeah. So, anyway, he had claimed, by the Eternal, it must be the Bell Witch, because obviously nothing else was going to make this, would have made this cart just stop dead in its tracks.
Right.
So... at that exact moment, after attempting to coax the horses, a disembodied female voice told the men that they could proceed, but that she would see them again later that night. And at that moment, the men were able to move the horses in the cart, no problem. Once the men got to the Bell house, Jackson had some of them stand watch at the entrance of the home. And one of the men claimed that he was apparently a witch tamer. Oh. And he had a gun with a silver bullet, and he said that it would stop any evil spirits that were nearby.
Okay.
Stupid. Sorry. I just think about this guy. It's like, I got me a silver bullet. It's going to protect us.
I'll get your ghost.
Yeah, he's like, I get everybody's. Yeah, just stupid. He claimed he had this magical silver bullet, and they hadn't seen the entity manifested in any way or, speak at all. Mm-hmm. And so he was like, oh, it's because, it's scared of my magic bullet. And at that moment, the other men immediately saw the guy dart and jerk back and forth. And he was screaming, saying that it felt like he was being stuck with pins and needles and that he had been, was being beaten. Oh. And so the man was then kicked out of the door as if by an imaginary foot. And the men heard the same voice, but in their heads. Anytime the voice would speak, they could just hear it, you could hear it across the 320 plus acres or whatever. But this time they all heard it in their head. It claimed that there was apparently another fraud in the group. Oh, and that it would be, that fraud would come forth that night. And so...
a fraud, for what? What was...
I don't know. I think I'm thinking that it was another fraud that thought that, I could, I ain't afraid of no ghost kind of thing. I'm tough shit. I have a gold bullet, or I don't, you know what I mean? Just something stupid. Or it could have been a fraud, towards Jackson, or, a double crosser, or a mole, or something.
Gotcha.
It's not clearly stated, but it just said that she was going to expose the other fraud that was in the group.
Gotcha.
So after this guy was legitimately kicked out of the house, obviously the other men were very scared, and they were begging Jackson to leave the property, but he was determined to see who the quote-unquote other fraud was. And there's no record of what specifically happened that night, but people have accounted for seeing Jackson and his men leaving in the early morning, headed back to their camp in Nashville. Okay. So they were pretty much just like, deuces.
Yeah, we gotta
don't know what happened. But apparently it probably wasn't good if they,
but we're getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah, if he was like dead set on, I'm going to stay here and see who this fraud is, whatever, and then something clearly was just like, nope. So they just kind of bye. So a couple of years afterward, Betsy, or Elizabeth Bell, had taken a liking to a neighboring gentleman by the name of Joshua Gardner. Both Joshua and Betsy's parents had blessed the engagement. But the entity repeatedly told Betsy not to marry him, and nobody knows why. But basically, the couple would walk all around the land. So, across the farmlands, there was a cave on site, across the rivers, but they constantly would just hear this Kate Batts entity, or whom she claimed to be, just yelling, don't marry him, don't marry him, don't marry him, no matter what. Like,
oh my God.
Can't marry him, can't marry him. And there is... some skeptics or some people that have looked into this think that it might have had to do with Richard Powell, who was apparently Betsy's school teacher when she was 11, but he was 11 years her senior. But he had taken a liking to Betsy even at the age of 11 and planned on marrying her when she had come of age.
Ew.
And when she had gotten older, she apparently had denied his advances. And so...
yeah, you creep.
Yeah. Pruning her at 11
that's
just
nasty.
To be his bride. Yeah, I know.
That's disgusting.
But she'd gotten to the age and she pretty much turned him down. And so there was talk of him being involved in the occult. And so they think that maybe he had, quote unquote, sicked this witch on Betsy because she was going to continue through with her marriage to Joshua. So... unfortunately, the taunting of the entity got to be so bad that Betsy had to call off her engagement because they were just constantly harassed and verbally, assaulted, essentially, by this entity. And at that point, after the engagement had been called off, things calmed down for at least Betsy. So, over the course of the time from when John and his family had experienced... all these happenings started, they just got progressively worse. And if Kate wasn't picking on Betsy, she constantly had it out for John Bell. And it probably was due to the fact that she was all wrapped up in this idea that the deal or what she sold the land for was just, not good enough, or whatever the case was.
Right.
So, John, over the course of all this craziness, John had developed twitches in his face, and he had seizures and difficulty swallowing, and it had grown so bad to the point that John was officially confined to the house. But since he was confined to the house, whenever he wanted to take off his shoes or go somewhere or walk, the entity would hide his stuff and hide his shoes. Oh my God, she's cool. Whenever he had a seizure, the entity would just continue to slap him across the face. I shouldn't laugh because it's awful.
Oh my God. Yeah. She's not the nicest.
No, she's not.
Kate, a little bit of just mercy. Just a little bit.
She hated him.
Clearly.
And so... the entity had said in a shrill voice that was able to be heard across the entire farmland that, she would always chastise John, and she would cackle and laugh at him, and she would refer to him as Old Jack Bell. And she was the only person that referred to him as Old Jack Bell.
Okay.
And so John Bell ended up passing away in December of 1820, and he had slipped into a coma. And after his death, his family found an unidentified vial next to his bed. I don't know why his son, John Bell Jr., did this, but he apparently was like, oh, this random vial, let's just give it to the cat. And so he gave some of whatever was in the vial to the cat, and within an hour, the cat was dead. So they then they then deducted that it was poison, and
it's probably a safe deduction.
And they heard the entity speak, and she joyfully said, "I gave old Jack some of that last night," which then fixed him.
Oh my
And so
God.
upon hearing this, John Jr. threw the vial into the fire, and apparently it burst into blue flames that shot up their chimney.
Oh, fuck that.
So while the entity, and this all happened just as she was cackling and laughing and was so proud that, you know, everything had gone her way and he was dead. So John Bell's funeral was said to have been one of the largest in Robertson County, and that the entity could be heard laughing and cackling throughout the entire service. She's saying about a bottle of brandy and could be heard singing until the last person left the graveyard. So just no peace, even in the afterlife.
Oh,
everyone had come
God.
to pay their respects, and she just continued to be like, fuck you, dude.
Well, maybe in his afterlife, he's like, I'm gonna get you.
Maybe.
You better watch it.
Yeah, but no one ever saw it. She was just this entity, this invisible entity. So she didn't manifest herself in any way other than speaking, and obviously the physical violence. It said that the entity's presence has been pretty much non-existent after John Bell passed, as if the entity had fulfilled her purpose.
That's unsettling.
In April of 1821, though, since John was dead, the entity visited John's widow, Lucy, and promised to visit again in 8 years, which she did.
Oof.
At that time, she visited with John Bell Jr., and this was interesting because I honestly lost respect for John Bell Jr.
Interesting. Okay.
No, I lost respect for John Bell Jr. when he fed. Why? I don't understand why your immediate reaction is to feed this mysterious vial to an innocent cat. So apparently when she met with John Bell Jr., these 8 years later, they had really deep conversation, and they talked about things like the origins of life and Christianity. And apparently Kate claimed that there was a need for a mass spiritual awakening. So really intense, like heavy things. And apparently she also very accurately predicted certain details about the Civil War, which I don't know how legit that is, because if you have inside information that turned out to be true, I don't know, you would tell somebody, especially like...
Right. Or maybe you're like, oh, this, my friend, can you see her? Her name's
Can't
Kate.
you see her?
She told
She's
me,
right here.
She told me these fun facts about the Civil War, and I think I should share them. I think people would probably call you crazy.
I feel like Jackson would also believe him. I mean, if he was one of the sons that were serving under him, and Jackson obviously had experienced some, I don't know. But apparently didn't mention anything about John Jr. trying to do anything to stop it or bring it to Jackson's attention.
Or anything?
I don't know.
Just the one.
Huh?
You said, did he kill any more cats or anything? Just the one?
No, just the one.
All right, just making sure.
There should be none allowed, but there's just the one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much the last known, I guess, visit from the entity. She did claim after she had the deep conversations with John Bell Jr. That she would return in 107 years, which would have made the year 1935. But apparently the closest relative at that time was a Nashville doctor named Charles Bell, who did publish a book about the Bell Witch and his history of his family. Mm-hmm. But that was in 1934. And then Dr. Bell died in 1945. So there was no follow-up recorded. We don't know what happened in 1935. But the book was apparently published and sent out in 1934, and he died in 1945. So
interesting.
And some updates on the case. Apparently in October of 2015, USA Today came out with an interview with a psychic who says that she acted as a clairvoyant for Betsy Bell. And she was obviously the daughter that was harassed by the entity. So according to the medium, the Bells weren't cursed, but that the land was purchased. And when John Bell expanded the lands, and began planting all of his other crops and disturbing everything that had already kind of been there and existed there. That's when the curse took effect.
Gotcha.
Pugh, the medium's name was Sarah Delaney Pugh. And Pugh states that Betsy spoke through her, stating that Kate hadn't actually poisoned John Bell, but that it was a slave that the Bells had owned who was upset because apparently John couldn't protect Betsy, who at the time was 11 and was apparently getting sexually assaulted by a family member.
Okay.
Which was really heartbreaking. I hadn't heard that because I had heard this story before, obviously, and I hadn't heard anything like that. And I would hope that part of me hopes that it was, something paranormal or spiritual instead of something so awful.
Yeah, truly, of course.
But living relatives of the Bell family believe that Pugh was right in saying that she was just a conduit for Betsy Bell to speak the truth. Mm-hmm. They believed her because they never fully felt like they, quote, were cursed.
Okay.
And that her version of the story actually made sense. The land of the Bell Witch cave was placed on the National Historical Registry in April of 2008. I thought you were raising your hand.
I have a question.
Apparently it was put on the National Historical Registry in April of 2008, and you can take a tour of the cave. It's very scary. I looked at it online, and it just is it starts off as just a dark entrance, and then you just walk down this dark hallway, and apparently there's like a room at the end. I didn't continue to look to see if there was a room at the end because it just looks like you're walking into pure darkness. But people claim that that's where the witch dwells.
Yeah.
But for $12, you can go visit. No. Because why not?
No, I traded $12 for one of those haunted house, things a few years ago, and I made a vow that I would never trade money for to be scared ever again because that was such a waste of money.
But if anyone is curious, $12, and you can also walk through.
Not me.
They did.
Are you curious? Would you spend?
Absolutely not.
Oh, not okay.
No, hard pass. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. I looked at the pictures online, and even they were eerie, and it wasn't even anything super crazy. It was just a dark ass creepy cave.
No thanks.
But yeah, so and they also made a replica of the cabin, so you can also go in there and they have like a bit of like the chimney that's still intact and replicas of like kind of what it looks like. So if you want like the whole whatever. Oh, another thing about the witch cave. When people do go on tours, there's a lot of issues with cameras and technology doesn't work.
Interesting.
And stuff like all the usual like malfunctioning that happens in situations like that. This was something really cool that I read. Apparently, when people are walking onto the land, they experience a similar sensation as like the horse-drawn cart. So they'll be walking and they'll just be immobile. They just can't keep walking. They're stopped dead in their tracks. Nothing they do
what the fuck
can move them unless they move away from the land. So once they start moving away from the land, they start to regain their mobility. Yeah, I thought that was epic. That was really, really creepy.
That's really creepy, yeah.
And then there have been multiple movies and TV shows that have been inspired by the Bell Witch, one of which, the Bell Witch was actually inspiration for the Blair Witch. I personally consider it more of like a quote-unquote poltergeist than I do like an actual witch.
Okay.
But I guess back in the 1800s, because of everything involving like witch hunts and whatever, they probably were just like, yeah, it's a witch. Because we don't know what else to call it.
Witch. We don't know what it is.
Yeah, and it was a female voice too, so it was kind of working against her, unfortunately. So, but that is the Bell Witch haunting. Ooh.
Wow, very spooky.
Yes.
I like it a lot.
Good, I'm glad.
Good job.
Thanks.
I like it. It's very, very creepy and very spooked. I definitely don't think I'll go visit there, but I mean, I'm probably curious to look at the cave pictures, but that's about it.
It literally is just a cave. I mean, I'm probably just being a drama queen, but it just, I don't know.
It's like when you know where it is and the story.
It just gives you like this yucky.
Yeah,
just,
I don't like it.
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Well, shall I go?
Oh no. All right, I am ready for you. I got my White Claw.
Okay.
I'm ready to be scared.
All right, then let's get the scare on. I'm doing Proctor Valley Road.
Okay. It sounds familiar.
I'm sure it does.
It sounds familiar.
So it's basically It's a road, and it connects Hamul, El Cajon, and Chula Vista. And my brother and Tiffany have been on this road, and...
Had I experienced anything?
No, but Nate wrote in a little thing that I want to read.
Okay.
To start it off.
Okay.
So this is from my brother and Nate, who, just is all into the creepy stuff. So here we go. It is a favorite activity of me and my friends to drive around the city of Hamul at night. As a rural city in the eastern half of San Diego, a lot of the city is separated by long stretches of dark roads that have no streetlights. My friends and I would decide to dip a toe into Hamul and drive around until we found our favorite storefront and now shut down breakfast joint in town called Creases for Lovers. However, only a few blocks from Creases for Lovers is the beginning of one of the most infamous roads in San Diego, Proctor Valley Road. Every once in a while, if we felt daring enough in the evening, we would start to make our way down Proctor Valley Road. But since I was the driver and have watched more than my fair share of scary movies in my day, I would often decide against trying to get my old car to make it all the way across Proctor Valley Road in the middle of the night. The road itself cuts through miles of chaparral hills, desert hills but not actually in the desert, and connects El Cajon to the city of Chula Vista. Once you get far enough down the road, it becomes a dirt road where the pavement literally just ends and then it's dirt. Where there are, lost my place. Once you get far enough down the road, it becomes a dirt road where there are very few houses and no streetlights. This very long, dark road and the valley itself have become the birthplace of many local urban legends, with mixed accounts of people reporting children with blue skin and black eyes showing up to Proctor Valley residents' doors in the middle of the night.
Oh, be gay! Oh, I wasn't ready for that. Okay.
Bigfoot sightings, and most infamously, the reports of the Proctor Valley Monster. I never had any supernatural or spooky occurrences on any of my trips to and across Proctor Valley Road, but the long, dark drive into Hamul and the stop into a small town to get through to Proctor Valley Road does start to send a chill down your spine. It's impossible to not think, what if my car does break down on this dirt road? I'll be stuck with no service in pitch black in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night. And if that happens, whether you believe in the Proctor Valley Monster or not, I guarantee you all the urban legends will be the only thing on your mind.
Oh, beautifully said, Nathaniel.
I could not agree more.
Wow.
So
that was a good... Ugh, my skin is already crawling.
So that is a story from Nate. And while he hasn't experienced anything on this road, there are many who have. Where the pavement ends, the stories of hauntings begin and date back about 100 years. I'm going to try to tell you about them all, or at least as many as I could find. People experience all kinds of things when driving on this road. And while there's few, if any, reports of anything ghosty or weird happening during the day, when the night falls, oh, yeah. And especially during the witching hour, there are many things people have claimed to see, hear, and feel. A number of stories insist ghosts, creatures, and demons lurk around this area and have inhabited it for some time, which makes sense when you hear about some of the awful and unsettling things that have happened here over the years. It gives me, you've seen The Shining, right?
No. I haven't seen... We've been through this.
Okay.
I haven't seen so many movies, but I might know what you're talking about. I know
Well, the Overlook is just like a haunted entity. That's what this area makes me think. There's just... It's just
the whole air is
it's just funky.
Yep.
Okay. So, to start off light, as Nate mentioned...
Don't come for me for not seeing The Shining.
What's that?
I said don't come for me for not seeing The Shining.
I'm not going to come for you. I'm just going to make you watch it because it's amazing.
I don't doubt it. It's fine.
Okay, so... As Nate mentioned, you generally don't have cell phone service on this road. And if you are lucky enough to have service, phone batteries are known to drain extremely quick. Within 10 minutes, some people have reported their phone just dying. Even though I feel like most of us probably have chargers in our cars, that's only if your car works. There's tons of reports of cars breaking down for no reason. Just perfectly fine cars that just stop working. Cars are also, they've been known to just kind of run off the road. I guess it's fairly rugged out there. People's cars will stop working and then you'll hear screaming.
Oh my gosh.
And then when the screaming stops, your car will work again.
Oh. Okay. Sorry, keep going.
Though while your car is stopped, and if you can hear it through the screaming, you might be lucky enough to hear phantom footsteps just outside.
No.
Well, that's just what I read.
No. You haven't made a dent in your story, and I'm pissing my pants.
Okay, so people have reported seeing handprints on their window, or they get home and they have handprints somewhere on their car. I saw a picture somebody had posted, and it was a bunch of muddy handprints on the back bumper of their car. And they said that that's what was on their car.
They ran over someone?
No, like they just were driving through the area at night, and then they got home and they had handprints on their car. Haley has fainted in her seat already. This is great. We are off to the races here. There was one guy who claimed that he saw a fireball out there the size of a basketball, just like dancing around, being a fireball, humdinging, just, what up? I'm a fireball. I'm not connected to anything.
Chilling.
And the guy was like,
fireball, living its best.
We're doing what we do. We're just chilling out here, trying to give you some heat, bouncing around.
Oh, man.
And I guess the guy was close enough to it that he could definitely see that there was nobody holding a torch or, something like that. People generally feel just kind of uneasy or unsettled when they are driving on this road at night. And so if you are wild enough to drive it, just stay in your car. It was actually kind of unsettling. Like every single site that I read was like, if you do this, just stay in your car. And if you do this, just don't get out of your car. And if you drive it, just stay in your fucking car and don't fucking get out of your car. And if you hear anything and if you see anything weird, just go ahead and just stay in your car and don't leave it. So that's some of the lighter things that people have experienced.
Those are the lighter things? The lightest thing was the cute little fireball. I don't like it.
So the next few things that I'm gonna talk about are basically like the legends and kind of like the regular, I guess, like things that people see, the hauntings. I don't know. Okay. So the first thing is the hitchhiking ghost.
Beware of
exactly.
hitchhiking ghost.
Yes. Exactly.
Expect nothing less.
I don't think at the end of the road she's fake in your buggy. I think she's real this time. You know what I mean? She's the doom to the buggy. All right. So there's a story from 87 of a group of 5. And
wait. What?
There's a story from 87, the year 87.
Oh, I thought you said, I don't know, 87, a group of 5. And I was like, you just said it was 87. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 87 people crammed into a Pinto in the year 87. And...
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. 5 people.
So, yeah, in 87, there was a group of 5, and basically they were driving down the road at night, and they saw a woman in the fetal position on the side of the road. And when they pulled up to her, she stood up and started waving her arms around as if she was asking for help. They said that her mouth was moving, but no sound was coming out, and they got freaked out. They sped out, and when they turned around, she was gone.
I have to readjust and get my feet off the ground.
And in my chair. I'm just going to turn into make yourself a nest.
I need to just cocoon myself in safety and positive vibes.
Okay. We'll burn some sage after this.
I'm very scared.
Are you really?
Yes, I am.
Yes, I'm so glad. Okay.
I mean, it is legit crawling.
I am not
sweating.
glad that you're scared, but I've done my job already. Okay. So numerous people have seen this woman in a white or blue dress while driving along. Usually, you'll hear somebody throwing rocks, and then you'll see her. Usually in a fetal position, or she'll already be standing on the road waving you down. Her oranges. Her origin ranges from dying in a car accident there on prom night to seeking vengeance after she was raped and murdered there. Oh. But apparently, I know, both are awful.
It's
this poor girl. I don't blame her for haunting everybody. But apparently, if you don't pick her up, she'll kill you. And then if you pass her, she'll kill you. So maybe just don't go.
If you breathe too loudly, she'll kill you.
You just stay home.
I should make fun. I'm sorry.
Just stay home. Yeah.
Poor thing.
Okay. So to circle back to Nate's letter, we're going to talk about the Proctor Valley Monster now, which I feel like is probably the most infamous legend. So the legend of this monster has varying descriptions. Some people say it's Bigfoot or like Bigfoot-esque. Some people say that it's like Bigfoot with a cow head. Some people say it's Minotaur-esque. Either way, it's an animal-esque, human-esque creature. That's no bueno.
No bueno.
It's no bueno. The monster has been suspected of livestock mutilation in the valley since as early as the 1960s. The area used to be filled with cattle ranches, and from what I could read, or like from what I read, it seemed like livestock mutilation was not uncommon. Cattle would just go missing and then would turn up miles away, just totally mutilated.
Miles away?
Yeah, that's what I read. Miles away. Like, this thing would just
drag it.
Cattle. And cattle's not that small. I mean, a cow?
No.
That's got some girth. Okay. So there is a cast of the beast's footprint at the Bonita Museum in Chula Vista. I called and verified. I read online. Everyone's like, oh, supposedly. Oh, maybe. Oh, allegedly.
You called?
I called.
Oh, you're legit.
I called. And she was like,
call.
oh, we have it. And she said, oh, we get people calling from all over the place asking about this handprint. She was so nice. I was like, really? Cute. That's cool. So you guys do have it? She's like, oh, we have it here. And we are open for business. So if you want to come down here and take a look, we are open. I was like, okay,
all
Wendy.
I did was see the tour of the Bell Witch Cave was $12 online.
I would rather pay $12 to see that footprint.
I would too.
Than go in some creepy ass cave. Yep. Thank you very much.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, where was I? Some say that the legend was just started by parents who didn't want their kids hanging out on this road, as back in the day it was kind of like a party road, or like where you would go to, kiss,
make out point,
and other things.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
Make in and out point.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So some people say, parents just made it up to like scare their kids. And actually, my coworker told me a story about one of her friends. She's probably my mom's age, so she's like in her 50s. And her friend, his dad drove him and his friends out there when he was in high school, like in the 80s. And he was like, yeah, let's go, told them all about the scary things. And they went for a drive. And the dad was like, oh, God, the monster is chasing us. And, started speeding up. And then all of a sudden, his car stopped. He's like, oh, God, my car stopped. And then he just started cracking up. And the kids were, freaking out in the back. And he was just laughing.
Messed up. Dad.
I'm like, that could have gone one of two ways. You could have totally been like, I'm going to be an asshole and fuck with these kids. But then, what if something really did happen?
Exactly. So, it's all fun until
you have
there's fireballs.
It's all fun and games until the fireballs show up. Okay, then shit gets real.
Damn.
So there's sort of this classic Proctor Valley monster story that I found. So it goes a little something like this. A couple was driving down the road late at night. And remember, it is pitch black. There is no lights out there. It is in the middle of BFE, okay? When the car stopped working, they got a flat tire. I don't know. The car did not work anymore. So the boyfriend gets out of the car to check it out, and the girlfriend locks the doors. And then she waits and waits and waits.
I'm sorry. The boyfriend gets out?
Uh-huh. To take a look at the car, figure out why it's not working. I don't know if they got a flat tire, whatever. So she's waiting. He never comes back. She ends up staying in the car all night, terrified, obviously, and she was hearing scratching noises on the car all night. In the morning, the cops were able to find her, and the boyfriend, however, his bloodied body was found hanging by his feet in a tree above the car, his hands scratching on the roof of the car in the wind all night, which is what she was hearing. Your face.
I'm gonna cry.
Don't cry. It gets so much
crease
worse.
Of my body is drenched in sweat. I am disgustingly sticky, and it's not the fact that it's so fucking hot.
Yeah, it's 3 billion degrees in our little room here.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so there is another story of 2 boys from the 80s who drove down that road and were ultimately found.
I'm processing the fact that he... I'm sorry.
No.
I'm processing the fact that he... hanging from the tree.
By his feet?
No, not that part.
Oh.
The fact that she heard scratches.
Yeah,
and it's just casually just him just like...
Uh-huh. Yeah. I know. It's awful.
Oh, my God.
When I started doing research on this, I kept having open windows late at night, like right now. And I would be like, oh, I'm going to do some research tonight. And then I would be like, no, never mind. I'm going to do it when the sun's out.
I'm going to do it when the sun's out. The Hallelujah chorus is playing.
Exactly.
I have positive vibes.
Uh-huh. 100%. Yeah.
No, I hate that so much.
I don't love it either.
I have downed my White Claw because I'm so angsty and anxious.
Do you want another one? Let's get you another one.
Thank you. Appreciate
What
it.
flavor? Raspberry?
I don't care. Surprise me.
Okay.
Surprise me. At this point, I'll take straight up vodka. Thank you, you're a goddess.
You are so welcome.
All right, continue.
Okay. So there was another story from the 80s of two boys who visited the road and went missing and were ultimately found mauled to death in their car.
In the car?
Uh-huh.
They were in their car?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
So maybe staying in your car, I think I just go back to
You're screwed either way.
I just go back to don't go.
Don't go.
Just fucking stay home and watch
go.
Netflix. Like, it's fine. You don't need that kind of angst in your life. Okay.
No, I want to see the fireballs, but...
So some locals believe that it may actually be the work of a mentally ill man in an animal mask, but nobody can be sure. Which I know is like...
And it's been around since the 60s, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Okay.
I mean, I don't like any of it.
No. Well, I don't think you're going to like this either.
Probably not.
So there used to be a bakery on this road called Haven Bakery. And the story of Haven Bakery goes like this. Your face, you're so ready to just be horrified. No, it's okay.
I'm sorry. I don't think my eyes can get any wider. Can you see the top and bottom white?
Yeah, I really can.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
God, terrifying.
So, the owner of the bakery left for a business trip. And when he came back, he found his daughter had hung herself in the basement of the bakery. He went absolutely berserk. And some sources say he committed suicide by hanging himself in the bathroom. And some sources say he did that and killed everyone in the restaurant and stacked their bodies in the bathroom. That's the one
Okay, so he went berserk.
Yeah.
Saw it. Whoa. Chair just bent back. I'm sorry. He went berserk.
Uh-huh.
Saw his daughter.
Yeah.
And then he himself went berserk and either hung himself or killed everybody in his restaurant at the bakery.
And then hung himself. He definitely hung himself.
He definitely hung himself.
But it's like, I don't know how or why the massacre is questionable, but not everywhere I read said that there was a massacre, like that he killed everybody.
Not everywhere said that.
Some places just said that he killed himself.
But the cohesive theme was, or not theme, but the cohesive fact was that he had hung himself.
He hung himself in the bathroom, and then some sources said that he also killed everybody in the bathroom.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Up to speed.
Okay, I'm up to speed.
Either way, the place is haunted as fuck, especially the bathroom and basement. I read a bunch of stories of people going there at night, which I don't...
You're asking for...
the worst possible thing that could ever happen to you.
A bad time.
The
You're
worst.
You're gonna have a bad time.
What are you expecting when you do this? When you drive
They're expecting
there,
to be scared out of their freaking minds. That's what they're expecting.
I can't. People are brave?
I would call it reckless or careless, but,
Yeah, right?
Potato.
I read one, and I'm sure that this person was joking, but one of the comments on, like, one of the articles that I read was like, oh, my friends and I are thinking about going out there with a Ouija board. Is this a bad idea?
Oh, my...
Why? Go
fuck yourself.
I don't...
Don't do it.
I have nothing to say
I'm sending
to you.
positive vibes and prayers your way, but nothing good will come of that.
No, it won't.
So, Godspeed.
Yeah. So anyways, a bunch of people have gone there at night and have experienced, obviously, things like noises, the sound of footsteps, someone walking on the floor above you, a sense of dread, feeling like someone is touching them.
Is the building still there?
No, it's not.
Okay.
And apparitions of a little girl in the basement. Even though I read that she was like 47 when she died, or when she killed herself. But people have seen apparitions of a little girl in the basement, which is where she hung herself.
Interesting.
People have tried to record what goes on inside this creepy place, but video recording never seems to work until you go back outside.
I'm confused. So there's no physical, tangible place there.
This is before it was torn down.
Oh,
that people
okay,
would go
I'm sorry.
and do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just really confused.
So my next sentence is, the bakery was eventually torn down in 2008.
My apologies for not waiting 5 seconds. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. No, that's a fair question, totally. But it was just 2008 that it was torn down, so, I mean, there's like,
that's really recent.
enough recent-ish people that are,
sure.
crazy enough to go and do that.
Sure.
And I read a few places that it's now a Walgreens.
Don't buy from that Walgreens.
Which I'm like, no, I think I'm good. I'm good.
I don't need any off-brand Bath and Body Works.
Yeah.
Or miscellaneous candles in the shape of a pineapple. Yeah, no.
Not from that Walgreens.
Nope.
No thanks.
It's all cursed.
Yeah, so I don't know. Might be a Walgreens, might not. And then the kind of final thing that you might experience while driving whilst in the middle of the night on Proctor Valley Road is the demon car, as they call it.
Okay, I'm ready. My body's
so you
ready.
will be driving along the road, and it's pitch black, and maybe about a mile or so behind you, you will see headlights. And then you will see these headlights gain quickly on you, and you'll start driving faster and faster, and these headlights are right on your tail, going way faster than you should on that road. Like I said, it's gravel. I read somewhere that the speed limit is like 35 miles an hour. I don't know if that's 100% true, but your instinct is to like speed up, which this demon car is why some people say that cars have been known to just like run off of the road.
Because they're trying to outrun something that's not a legit thing.
Exactly.
Oof.
So this car starts gaining on you. It's basically like right on your tail, and it doesn't matter what you do. It's just right behind you the whole time. And basically the lights don't actually seem to be connected to anything. Like if you turn around, it's just lights and then pitch blackness.
In the shape of something?
No, it's just like two lights that look like headlights.
Okay.
Yeah, and they just follow you, and basically you get to the pavement and then they stop. Like as soon as you hit the pavement, that's the barrier. And so you can drive off and the headlights will stop, and you'll see them start to fade. But if you turn around, you'll just see a solid black mass and two lights.
No. It's just my response for everything in this story. All of it's no. I'm gonna nope, nobody nope, everything.
Same. I'm noping it with you.
I'm not so sweaty.
I am not Nate and Tiff. I'm not brave like him and his friends.
Props, man, to both of them and all of them, because
yeah.
That's right in my neck of the woods where I used to freaking live.
Yeah, I know. I used to live. You could throw a pebble and break my window. I know. It's all my nopes.
Wow. Okay.
So while some may dispute everything I told you, so many firsthand accounts make it difficult to deny that there is at least something going on this stretch of road.
Something.
Yeah. You want to go for a drive?
No. Hard pass.
Okay, so I have a memory in high school.
Does it involve me? Because I never went there.
Okay. No. So it involves a couple of friends, and I don't know if it was this road, but I don't know how it could be any other road. And basically, one of the girls were
during the day?
No, it was during the night. So we got in her car, and I don't remember what the progression was to get on this road, but we're on this dirt road eventually. And basically
it went from pavement to road. You remember that?
I don't remember that.
Oh, okay.
I just have a memory of this terrifying car ride from high school, and I feel like it was on this road, but I don't know if it was.
Why was it terrifying?
Because my friends were talking about all the scary stories.
Oh, so they actually told it, so you kind of knew about it.
And we're driving on it.
How did you hear about it?
They're telling me about it.
No, I know, but is that what made you pick this?
No, I've never heard of Proctor Valley, or at least I don't remember hearing about it. But this drive just sounds like from my memory database.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just remember being scared out of my fucking mind and being like, I'm gonna get the fuck out of this car right the fuck now.
No.
Oh, I forgot to mention. I have in here.
Of course you did.
I put another reason you should stay in your car is that people also said that the KKK used to hold gatherings there, not to mention a lot of reports of cults doing their culty business in that area.
Culty business.
So all in all, it's just a bad vibes area. It's nowhere you want to hang out. I don't want to be there during the day. I don't want to be there at night. My mom's boyfriend's parents live on this road.
Ew.
I know.
That's unfortunate.
Nope, I'm good. Yeah. I mean, he said, they've never experienced anything. So maybe they save it for the daredevils or the entities come out.
They're probably to the point where it's like pretty inhabited. So it's not as...
It's not. I mean, it's like there's like a small community out there, but it's just a gravel road that,
nope.
Yeah.
Nope. I say nope.
I know. All my nopes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that your story?
That's my story. How are you?
I'm so sweaty.
Me too.
It's a mixture of the 3 now White Claws that I've had because, this is my 3rd.
This is your 4th.
This is my 4th. That tells you how scared I am. That was so scary. I don't think I blinked at certain points often.
That's okay.
My eyes are just open. My feet are under my thighs, nice and tight.
Yeah.
My toes just kind of actually came off the chair, so I need to keep them tucked.
Yeah, tuck them.
Keep it secret. Keep it safe. Wow. That's everything I've ever wanted. And everything I never want to hear again.
Right?
I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to have to look up a map of Proctor Valley because I remember going on horseback rides at this ranch and it would take you, did you ever see the bridge? Mm-mm. Like over by the movies, there was that bridge. People usually do like photo shoots there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Okay. Uh-huh. So I don't know if that's the same area, but I remember going on horseback riding trails that would take me obviously down like dirt roads. I never saw anything weird. There was this tree just in this clearing, and this was granted in like middle school, so like early 2000s, and you could still see the rope marks and leftover rope on the tree from lynches that they did.
Ew.
And so I would not be surprised, especially since I feel like most of that's just like, isn't it just Indian territory anyway? Or it's like right up against Indian territory? Or I'm sure like
it's right up against Mexico.
Oh.
It's like 7 miles from the border.
And they didn't mention anything about like it could possibly be like La Chupacabra or whatever?
One thing that I read mentioned somebody seeing El Chupacabra, but I was like, I mean, one person seeing, or like, I looked at a lot of places, so the fact that it was only mentioned once was just kind of like unsubstantial,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, people say too, like, some of the cults, apparently one of the cults, like the women wear white or blue dresses or something. It's like, oh, well, obviously that's the ghost. And it's like,
interesting.
I mean, yeah, I guess it could be, except like if you can fucking see through it, it's probably not a human being.
So Nate and Tiffany never saw anything?
No.
Okay, that's interesting.
I know.
I mean, I'm thankful that they didn't.
Well, they're asking for it. They want it.
I wouldn't want it.
I wouldn't either, but I mean...
Absolutely not. But I think it's just... Maybe it's just an age thing. I don't know. Maybe it's just like...
I mean,
they're
only a couple years younger than us.
I know.
But...
Maybe I'm just trying to sound like older than my years, but it thanks. I don't know. I feel like I'm like, give me...
liberty.
Or... Sure, that's not what I was going to say. I was going to say, give me a good, like, glass of wine and, like, some plants. Or, you know what I mean? And call me a grandma and it's a good day. But
I mean, me too.
I just don't go looking for all that. But hey, to each their own, man. It makes for a good story.
Yeah.
That was such a good opener. Brava, Nate. Brava.
I know. Well, and I had like basically a whole backstory intro typed up about it. And then I asked him to just send me something about his drive. And he sent that. And I was kind of like, I think I'm going to lead with that because...
I'm so glad that you did.
That's a great way to kick it off.
It's so interesting, and I love that you pulled him in. That was very, very cool. Especially since, obviously, like, I mean, I don't talk to him often, but I've known him as long as I've known you.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's just really cool to hear...
like a firsthand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even though, like, it's not like, oh, he saw, the hitchhiking ghost. No, but it's like...
I'm going to have to... I'm going to have to Google, like, the actual map of Proctor Valley Road and see, like, where it specifically goes. Because Proctor Valley Road, the name itself is what sticks out to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't say I've heard any accounts or any stories of anything weird happening.
Yeah.
I know that, I forgot who it was that had told me, but I know that they had mentioned They didn't mention anything about, like, BEKs, like Black Eyed Kids, per se, but they did mention that there was, like, this back road in Hamul where they would see, like, little kid ghosts. And they thought that they were, like, hitting a kid, but it would disappear before they hit it. Or just, like, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I remember hearing that, but it was just that whole area of Hamul. I mean, it's just a valley, and it's, like, really out in the boonies.
No,
like,
it totally is.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's so close.
I mean, yeah. It's
For
so close.
years, I was that close to it. So
I know. Totally. It's super creepy. Well, good. I think that was a good, solid paranormal episode.
Yours takes the cake.
Yay!
Hands down. So scary.
I mean, yours is terrifying also.
A couple bitch slaps is nothing compared to, like, dangling from a tree by your feet.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Hard pass.
Is it?
Fireballs. See, I imagine, like, a cute little fireball. I don't know if have you seen Howl's Moving Castle by Hayao Miyazaki? Anyway, there's this little flame, and he's, like, the same voice that does Mike Wazowski. And so he's talks like this, and he's just this cute little ball of flame. He's like, oh, put me back in the oven. He's like, I'm gonna burn out. And anyway, that's just what I imagined. But that was the most positive element of your story, was
because it was the only literal light.
True. Very, very true. Everything else was a black mass, or, you know, it was dark until your light shined on it, or it was just, nope.
Yeah.
A lot of nope. I would nope the fuck out of there.
Well, I wouldn't nope the fuck out because I just will never go. So I'll never have to nope out of there.
Very, very true.
I will just stay
I'll
in my
never be going to that Walgreens. Just all the nope.
Yeah, basically.
Wow. That was better than I ever expected. I'm so glad that you went last because it truly ended with a bang.
Oh, thank you. I'm so
Banging.
glad you enjoyed it. I hope that you sleep well tonight.
Yeah, right. No, I don't think so.
Oh,
nope
man.
to the sleeping well tonight also.
We don't need sleep. Sleep is for the week, actually. And, yeah, we're just going to stay awake and tough through it all night.
Michael's probably going to, like, punch me in the face if I'm like, babe, please don't go to sleep. Just please don't. Please stay up with me.
Please stay awake.
With me. I'll be like, oh my God, I need to get up in the morning. Like,
so do I, but please.
So do I.
I mean, that's what I'll do with Alex. I'll just make him stay awake.
Just text me.
Okay.
We'll keep each other.
Aww.
We'll keep each other sane. They can sleep, and I'll be like,
that's true.
Did you hear that? And you'll be like,
this is our own fault. We shouldn't pawn it off on our husbands, right?
I know, we really shouldn't. They shouldn't have to suffer because we did this. It's self-inflicted.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Poor guys.
That's all right.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I'm still so scared. I wish you could feel all of my creases, like my elbow creases, everything.
Well, it's hot as fuck in here, too.
It's very warm in here, but that has nothing to do. I was fine. I truly was fine. Until even Nate's story, like barely halfway through, and I was already just like...
And nothing even happens in his story. That's cool. That's good.
Wow.
I did well then.
You did so well. Well, you wanted to scare me because this is my wheelhouse, just like true crime is your wheelhouse.
Definitely.
This is the stuff that give me a bowl of popcorn, and as long as my feet aren't touching the ground, I'm totally game. Doesn't mean I'm going to go looking for it.
Right. Yeah. We're not seeking it out. We're just interested and curious.
Nope.
You know?
Nope. We keep a positive little bubble.
Right.
Here in our podcast area.
Room. Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't want any bad things. So.
Yep.
We appreciate the knowledge that we have gained about your stories. Mm-hmm. But go somewhere else.
Right. Yeah. You can't stay here.
You can't stay here. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thanks
those who are listening.
Joining us for another round of us.
And all things weird. We hope that you learned a little something. We hope that you are sitting curled up in a chair just like I am with your toes as hidden under your knees as possible.
I hope it's like 10 a.m.
I hope the sun is shining, the tank is clean.
Yeah.
I hope I am sending all the positive vibes your way. But
absolutely.
If you'd like to follow us on Instagram, you can follow us at Weirdify Podcast.
And you can email us at weirdifypodcast@gmail.com.
Ayo.
That's where you can email us.
Yes.
Email us your true crime stories, your paranormal stories, or just your weird shit.
Yeah, any weird anything. That could be all kinds of under the umbrella of what you consider weird.
And
we want to hear it all.
Yeah.
We want to digest it all. We want to be scared of it all. We want to
be weirded out, creeped out, spooked out.
All of it.
What is the weirdest thing that's happened to you that you've never told another person?
Oh,
we want to know.
We're going to get real personal.
Please tell us.
Yeah.
The things where you're like, nobody's going to believe me that just happened. We'll
believe you.
We want to know.
We're sending you our support. We're sending you our love. We're giving you a big ol' hug.
Yes.
I don't know if you need anything else answered or you want to find out a little bit more about us, feel free to visit our website, which is weirdifypodcast.com.
That's the one.
Got it right.
Success. I think we're actually doing it correctly this time.
I think so. Here's hope moving forward. But
well, thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening.
And we will see you next time.
Remember, keep
it weird.